A to the K.
To the K.
To the K.
Multiple WWE stars injured.
Brian Pillman Jr. trained at WWE Performance Center.
Is Nick Aldis headed to WWE?
Probably. Was Don Callis assaulted by a fan?
AEW bans multiple moves and spots.
Shotzi Blackheart shaves her head and Twitter just loses their fucking minds about it.
Jon Moxley wins a gold freaking medal.
Really?
He does.
Damn, didn't know that. Well, that's probably what this is about, isn't it? News. JR talks commentary and the use of pronouns.
Trinity becomes the new knockout champion.
Nice. Eric Young returns to Impact Wrestling.
Breezango Reunite.
Ooh. And Megan Morant is just an all-round great human.
Yes, she is. Anthony, when's all this coming up?
Right freaking now.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
and
it is.
We're kicking things off with some unfortunate news all round, really. So
You're saying it with some gusto, though.
I know, that's what we're going to do.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunate news. We have to try and sound all professional, don't we? I mean, our accents are hard enough to understand as it is, let's be honest.
Apparently so.
Apparently so. Thanks, Reddit. But, yeah, so some somber news. So there's multiple injuries happened in this past week, Anthony, across WWE. So the first one, Elton Prince of Pretty Deadly, he suffered an injury on SmackDown. And unfortunately, there's been some backlash again towards Ridge Holland off the back of this now.
Yeah, he's apparently got, like, people have referred to, like, Gargano and Big E as well.
Yeah.
So, like, oh, look at the amount of times. And it's like,
Yeah. At the end of the day, look, as they often say, it ain't ballet. You know, injuries happen. And it looks like...
injuries happen in ballet too.
Well, yeah, they do. To be fair, yeah, that's a terrible thing for people to say. Such disrespect to ballet.
I think they just saw Black Swan and was like, this isn't ballet. Totally different to that film.
But yeah, so in the match, basically, Ridge Holland hit him with a shoulder tackle and flipped him up, and he ended up landing on his shoulder. So it looks like he separated his shoulder, unfortunately. But yeah, massive shame, because Pretty Deadly were absolutely killing it on the main roster, and obviously it's a shame that Ridge is involved in this again. I think he's ended up deleting his Twitter account now because of all people just tagging him and saying obviously a lot of bad things. So
shit,
yeah, so obviously condolences to Ridge as well, as Elton Prince. But, it's not nice for either of them, but
no.
Speedy recovery, hopefully. The second one, Bailey. So on a house show this past week, she's injured a knee. We don't know the extent of what she's injured in. This is a terrible picture. You can sort of see her knee behind her.
I mean, that's not where you want it to be, so I suppose
there was you know what I mean.
No, good.
But yeah, there was another injury that happened, so I had to change this graphic. But you could actually see her legs, but now you kind of can't. But yeah, she was in a match, and basically the referee had to throw up the X sign, and she was kind of carried out. And obviously she's posted a picture on Twitter saying, "I'll be okay," and she's got obviously icing up her knee. So we don't know the extent of it at the minute, but hopefully not massively severe, because that will not be good, let's be honest. She's heavily involved in the stuff with EO and the Money in the Bank situation at the moment. So yeah, wishing her all the best. And then just yesterday, Anthony, Liv Morgan, unfortunately. No. So as she came down to the ring in the main event to attack Rhea Ripley, and she kind of knocked, they both went over the barricade. Anyone who watched the show will have seen that Liv was kind of nowhere to be seen after that. Obviously, and you could see Rhea with Judgment Day, and you could see Kevin Owens and Sami in the ring, but Liv was just nowhere to be found. And the reason seems to be that when she went over the barricade with Rhea, she's suffered some sort of injury. So I don't think we know to what extent at the moment, but enough to prevent her from obviously getting in the ring and posing with Sami and KO. So terrible news all around.
Indeed,
everyone involved is getting quite heavily featured at the moment on the main roster. So it looked like we were going to get Liv and Rhea for an upcoming match. So maybe
pretty damaging for the women's division as well, to be fair.
Indeed. So, yeah, sad news, but wishing them all the best, and hopefully we see them back very soon.
Indeed. Speaking of seeing people very soon, Carl, according to our favourite melt, Dave, on his recent, was it Wrestling Observer News report?
Yes. Flows off the Wrestling Observer News report.
Report has it that Brian Pillman Jr. has been seen at the WWE Performance Center. So obviously we, I think, mentioned maybe last week, maybe on the news, maybe just in general, but we mentioned last week that he no longer was a part of AEW. He's been removed from the roster page. He wasn't renewing his contract.
So he's been just banging on the door, please.
he actually just walked past it and someone caught a picture at the right time. So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so apparently he's been reported being seen at the WWE Performance Center. Rumor has it he may have signed with WWE. And then if you believe the internet, WWE are going to apparently completely change who this guy is. They're going to make him great on the mic. They're going to train him up. They're going to make him just a fantastic wrestler. He's going to be so much better than he ever was in AEW because AEW didn't invest in him, apparently.
Right.
According to the internet. Which is interesting, isn't it? Because, like, the way they talk is like AEW should, like, take someone who can't talk or wrestle and then make them, right?
Yeah.
But does it really work that way?
No.
Am I being too mean? I still don't know what people see in Brian. I'm not like he's obviously a better wrestler than you or I.
Yeah.
No disrespect, Carl.
Yeah.
Right. But as like WWE to me is like it's a really big place to get over. People talk about like this comparison to AEW. AEW, right? As an AEW fan, I'll happily say that it's considerably smaller. They're not the behemoth that WWE is. So if he couldn't get over on a smaller show where he basically could have been a big fish in a smaller pond, how the fuck is he going to hit like big heights in WWE like people are expecting? I feel like there's this pressure now when anyone signs with WWE, it's like they're going to be huge, and it's like no, not everyone is Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, not everyone's going to get propelled into the fucking WrestleMania on their first fucking outing. No. It doesn't happen that way. So there's going to be a lot of people who don't make it in WWE or don't get big in WWE. Mm-hmm. This guy might be a decent mid-card WWE. Is he ever going to be in the fucking main title picture?
Well, exactly.
Probably fucking not.
It's the same with the reverse as well. When people leave WWE, go to AEW, they're like,
gotta be huge.
They're going to put him in the main event. Like, you can't put everyone in the main event, so that's why that hasn't happened.
But, and this is just exactly how the internet works. Like, he's gone there, so everyone just wants to shit on AEW. They didn't use him right. And like this expectation that WWE is just going to turn him into this just a mega star, and you're like, are they really? Or is he going to be Brian Pillman Jr. in WWE? And again, passable, great mid card, but that's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to shit on the guy, but obviously he will.
Try it.
He will be some. Obviously, there'll be the Pillman connection there because his dad is obviously from well known in WWE. Yeah. So I was like, if he does sign with them.
But again, is that necessarily a good thing? I know Cody makes it look like a good thing, but is that necessarily a good thing to be in his dad's shadow when, in all fairness, he hasn't really demonstrated that he's just as talented?
It's tough because you get people like
I might get a little bit of heat for this, right? I think the reason it works for Cody is because he's more talented than his dad. Like, I know his dad was an absolute legend, and you know, I think what he did outside of the ring was probably more sort of, what's the word? Like, you get why the roster love him. Yeah. Because he did so much outside that you don't see.
Giving back to the business.
Yeah, he gave back to the business so much. But actually, as an in-ring wrestler, I think arguably Cody is more talented.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really fall into his dad's shadow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's definitely a Rhodes.
Yeah.
And he refers to his dad.
He can stand
on
his own.
He loves his dad. But he is Cody Rhodes, and he is his own thing in his own right.
Yeah.
I don't think Brian Pillman Jr. has done that yet.
No.
And he might be able to, but so far he's in his dad's shadow. And that's the difference between him and Cody for me.
It's hard because obviously one of my favourite wrestlers is the late great Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, and obviously you had Joe Hennig, as he didn't end up doing that thing of like, my dad's Mr. Perfect. He was like, I'm Curtis Axel, and they kind of alluded to it, but it wasn't like I'm in my dad's shadow, and it didn't work out for him. So it's kind of like, it's tough. But
which is mad because if you'd have leaned into it and give him Dolph Ziggler's old heel music of "I Am Perfection," it would have worked fucking perfectly. But no, let's not.
No,
let's not do something that'd work. But yeah, I don't like. I may sound quite negative on Brian Pillman Jr. I'm actually kind of negative on the people's expectation. I think it's kind of unfair on him that he goes to WWE and then people are like, he's going to be great in WWE because no one used him. Like, that's pressure. That's a lot of pressure there. Like, I hope he does do well, and I hope he shatters my expectations. But
I mean, that's if he even gets in. I think he's on a trial basis or something, isn't he? Just like to see, like to evaluate him. So we'll see. I hope for him he gets in and stuff anyway. But yeah, interesting to see what would happen if he does. So this is another thing to see. Would be interesting if this happens. So Nick Aldis, we reported not that long ago he re-signed with Impact, but it was only on a temporary deal. That deal has now come to an end, as well as a couple of others like Zicky Dice and so on and so forth. But the rumours have it that Nick Aldis is headed to WWE, but not in the capacity you or I might think. They're thinking of bringing him in as a producer.
Interesting.
Now, I still think Nick Aldis can go in the ring.
Without a doubt.
I'm also still a bit upset that Wade Barrett's just an announcer.
Yeah, like,
you know,
you got to wonder what's going on. Like, I assume something's keeping him out of the ring. that we don't know about, and it's probably not our business. But you go, I mean, like, he was super talented dude, and he should have been bigger than he was.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, he was still big, you know, like the Nexus and all that. Like, that was a lot of trust he gave him.
Even bad news, he got that over.
He did.
So, yeah, but in a similar vein.
Anyway, speaking of Wade Barrett, like, let's get back to Nick. Sorry.
Yeah, but no, like,
I agree. I mean, if you consider it wasn't even that long ago that he was like NWA champion, so
exactly.
he can
so
definitely
if
go
NWA champ, he's still been going in Impact, and now they only want to bring him in as a non-wrestling capacity. Like, for me, him versus Cody Rhodes makes sense. It was the main. It was it wasn't. Was it the main event? It happened at All Out at the first All In. Sorry, that was the match. So it's like, be nice to revisit that ground on WWE, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So for me, I'd be pretty disappointed if they bring him in and don't put him in any kind of wrestling capacity.
I mean, depends. Like, I suppose it might be on his terms, mightn't it? You know, and you can't really knock that. But
yeah,
because we don't know what he wants out of the business right now.
Yeah, but we'll also make that comparison that everybody makes is husbands and wives can't. You know, they must do the same job.
Where's Mickey?
So does that mean Mickey gets brought in as well? Is she going to be involved?
I mean,
for the women's
Matt Cardona's not helping matters, is he? With being putting in pictures on WWE, and everyone's like, "What about Matt Cardona?"
Exactly.
Yeah. But
So,
like you say, they don't have to work in the same place. Carl.
But it'd be interesting though. I'd like to see if Mickey maybe follows her husband over there. But again, I'd like to see her back in the ring. I wouldn't like to see her.
Like, it's annoying with that because, like, obviously we watch WWE more than anything, but I'd love it if they would bring Mickey as she is now, kind of like the way they did when she appeared at the Rumble.
Yeah,
Hardcore Country.
Yeah, don't just go back to the old Mickey James.
Yeah,
WWE.
exactly. I feel like there's a time for nostalgia, and she had a nostalgia run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like if they bring her in as she is now, or if she chooses to come over as she is now, it's not necessarily WWE. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But I'd be ashamed if like they did entice her to come back and it was to be the Mickey James away, because I think what she's doing now is fucking awesome. So
get your bin bag, you're coming home. But yeah, so
you'd defo, like, if you did come back, you'd defo like passive aggressively like bring instead of a suitcase walk in with a bin bag. Like,
you'd have to, wouldn't you?
I would.
I reckon that would go down quite well. So yeah, Nick Aldis, maybe we'll see him in WWE soon in some capacity.
So, Carl, a little bit of a strange one. Again, fans being fucking weird again. And yeah, we're fans, so I'm talking about us, really.
What a bunch of weirdos we are.
But they did like which seems to be a popular thing now, in a recent match at AAA. It was AAA. Between Kenny Omega and, I'll be honest, I didn't follow the match, so I'm not 100% who he was facing, but it was a recent match.
Vikingo Del, what's his face?
Again, I don't follow AAA, but there was a bit of a news report. Basically, they were doing a bit of a work between Kenny and his opponent, and obviously Don Callis was involved because it's Jon Callis, and they were having a bit of like a work at the media thing, and so they all started scrapping amongst themselves, and a fan got like kind of really upset about what Don Callis said about Kenny, so decided to attack. I shouldn't laugh. Decided to attack Don Callis because naturally it's real. It's real to him, damn it. And by all accounts, he is damaged his eardrum. I don't know to the extent of the damaged his eardrum, and he ripped his suit, Carl.
Wow, you don't rip a guy's suit.
I know. So yeah, I mean, it's just a time when like fans have just got too into what's going on, and do you know what? Like, fortunately, and I say this in a sense of fortunately, I've never encountered these fans who believe it that much. And I hope they are few and far between, because this is just some fucking nuts behaviour. This. Yeah,
it is entertainment for a reason. Do you know what I mean? People need to learn to separate that. But yeah, terrible news for Dom, obviously, and just for wrestling fans all over. Just stop doing shit like this. It's not good. It's not a good look.
No.
So AEW, Anthony, I'm going to need my phone for this one to get a comprehensive list.
Oh, there we go. Carl Googles things. Yeah, I can do that too, bitch.
So Fightful have reported that AEW have put out a list of stuff for talent to avoid.
Avoid or outright don't do?
Well, yeah, outright don't do. So basically, these upcoming things have been banned when it comes to in-ring action. So you can't do unprotected chair shots to the head anymore.
Need to wear protection. Okay.
Can't do shots to the back of the head, just on the face. On the face. Buckle bombs and blind moves backwards into the turnbuckle.
So, Darby Allin's finisher? Oh, into the turnbuckle, sorry. I misheard.
Fencing responses. So you can't just go out there with your sword, start fencing.
Just go swinging your sword around. Okay.
Yeah. True.
No wonder he re-signed with WWE.
But obviously, fencing responses, so that's an unnatural position of arms following a concussion. So don't fake being concussed, basically, because we've seen stuff like that.
Okay.
Seizure cells, which we've also seen, Bryan Danielson being an example. Spitting, bleeding in the crowd, weapons or projectiles in the crowd, taking drinks or food from guests in the crowd, or physical contact with the crowd. Nothing with blood on it should be thrown into the crowd.
So MJF's can't steal kids' drinks anymore.
MJF is screwed, is what we're saying. Yeah, you can't spit on kids. You can't throw drinks on kids. You can't
rip people's signs up. Can't throw stuff at them.
Yeah, it's whole gimmick screwed.
Taking all the fun.
That's why he's doing the thing with Adam Cole. He's like nothing left.
I really enjoy the Adam Cole stuff.
It's funny. But it's interesting this. So they've AEW faced quite a lot of kind of scrutiny and criticism over the kind of past couple of months for all of these things in some way, shape, or form. So the crowd stuff, stuff with like the bad cells and all that, and you know,
I kind of get the bad cells one. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
like I as bad as it sounds, like I don't mind when they do, like, as long as they do things as safe as possible. I don't mind when they do like certain shots, like buckle bombs and stuff. You go, okay, that could be dangerous as long as the person's executing it right and they do their due diligence of it, as it were. Words. I'm like, well, you're meant to be kind of more of a hardcore offering, hence the blood and guts and stuff like that. But I do agree with the, like, trying to sell something is real, like a seizure or concussion or whatever, because you go, well, that blurs the lines a bit too much because we need to make sure people are safe. And that might, especially like Bryan Danielson as an example, like, because of his, like, basically his past with the career-ended injuries and stuff, trying to sell that is quite kind of distressing in a way, you know? And again, we've seen from previous news that people get way too into wrestling, and some people might take this shit proper serious.
Yes, they do.
So I'm all for like not having the poor cells on stuff like that. To be fair,
I mean, it all makes sense. Even like the unprotected chair shots, like concussion protocol and all that. Like,
well, I mean,
you should at least put your hand up and try and.
WWE were decades ahead of them on this one. Like, they took a lot of shit over the whole concussion stuff. I watched the film Concussion, so I kind of know what I'm talking about now. And a kid, of course, but like it's a fucking scary thing. And you go, yeah, let's maybe not hit each other in the head as much.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's still for entertainment purposes, isn't it? You shouldn't actually be going up there trying to legitimately injure people.
Yeah, let's just stick to stabbing each other in the head with
exactly. That's fine. Thumbtacks landing on that Lego blocks. You know, that's all cool. But
a fork. You can just jam a fork in there. It's fine.
Yeah, chopsticks or whatever the hell.
Chopsticks, them things, whatever. Yeah,
all good. So interesting, but probably well needed. I think a good step for AEW.
Indeed. So, Calm, this is a bit of a fucking weird one as well. Shotzi Blackheart, right, as part of a storyline with, I want to say it was Damage Control, wasn't it? They cut her hair off the previous week. So she kind of responded with a vignette this week where she shaved all her hair off in response to obviously them cutting a bit of her hair off. In a way of kind of going, fuck you, I don't care. Which, you know, kayfabe isn't really that bad, especially for her gimmick, you know. It's just kind of rock and roll, isn't it? But I won't name names because I'm not here to like try and talk shit about other shows and other podcasts. But there were some reactions to this where they were like, "Oh fucking hell, this is definitely a Vince McMahon book." And we've talked about this, like, how do you rate things from a scale of Vince to
went down like a lead balloon, that, by the way.
Yeah, but it shouldn't have, because this is exactly the example. Is like something bad happened on SmackDown, so let's blame Vince. No one even mentioned Vince, but because she shaved her head, it was a Vince thing. Right, and again, from my perspective, storyline wise, I've you know, obviously, let's look back at a time when, and we've always given credit for this, so I'm not throwing shade, like when Molly Holly shaved her head, right, and that was at a time when women weren't getting the screen time, and she did what she needed to get the screen time and so on. Much respect to her for that. And you go, well, I understand people wanting to try and react in that toxic way of going, look at them still treating women like this. And it's definitely a Vince storyline and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, it's different, and the story didn't feel like that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Right? But evidently, was storyline wise, this was them writing in Shotzi shaving her hair, because in real life, Shotzi's sister is, I don't want to go into too much detail because I haven't read a great deal into it, but she's obviously dealing with cancer at the moment, and has... she's obviously going to be dealing with that. I don't want to pry too much into their lives, so I haven't looked into it. So
like a show of solidarity.
It's a show of solidarity, yeah. So I don't know, you know, whether she's already lost her hair or whether it's just like a, you know, but she wants to show a bit of solidarity for her sister, which is, you know, utmost respect to her. And you know what, fair play to WWE for you know, for not that I expect them to, but for not being dicks about it, going, well, no, you're on screen talent and you can't be doing that. They've just gone, well, we'll work it in, and they've worked it in.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that's awesome. So you go, okay, so there's a legitimate reason. This wasn't like a Vince going, it'd be funny if you shaved your head, like people kind of expected. But unfortunately, and again, I'll do my best not to name names, although anyone who's kept up on this sort of fucking this behaviour on Twitter will know the particular podcast. But rather than sort of backing down from the situation, he sort of doubled down and was like, well, I still don't think I'm wrong. I didn't know about that. And it's still poor booking. Like, okay. So people are now like, basically, there's like this whole thing of like, I think he's had some run-ins in the past with other WWE talents as well, but there's like this whole thing on, it's back and forth on Twitter now of some of the internet wrestling community like defending the position, going, well, how is he supposed to know? It was just like talking storylines, nothing personal on this, that, next thing, and other set going, yeah, but now you do know. Maybe go, okay, fair enough, didn't realise, my bad. Yeah. You know, as simple as that. And yeah, there's more now of a fucking argument on Twitter about that than there is anyone acknowledging that Shotzi's done something, you know, like basically to show support for her sister. Like that should be the thing that you go, well, that's awesome.
The problem is
also, that's probably not the right word. It's not awesome what she's going through, but it's like that kind of love is awesome. You know? Yeah.
The problem is, and again, I'm not going to name any names on here and stuff, but when the main focus of your show is to nitpick and try and go after the product as much as you can to kind of, that's what your viewers enjoy, is listen to you tear it apart, then sometimes you're not going to get all the facts, and you're going to just
and you'll run into this kind of shit,
and you'll make them mistakes. But the fact is, you should own up to it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
honestly, as simple as going, yeah, when I posted that, I didn't know about the background to it. My bad. It's as simple as that.
It shouldn't be like fucking Vince. Like, really? Like,
straight to Vince. Straight to Vince. I love it.
But yeah. But as you say, it's such an awesome thing that Shotzi's doing for her sister, and
for some reason we've not put it in the news, and it's probably kind of weird to tag it to this, but Shotzi recently got engaged as well. Okay. So congrats are in order, I think.
Yeah. So congrats to Shotzi, and obviously wishing her sister all the best.
Indeed.
So this next one, again, Carl checks his phone, but essentially, Jon Moxley has won a gold medal without a broken freaking neck, Anthony.
Take that, kid. I kid, of course.
So he took place in the NAGA Cincinnati Grappling Championship in Cincinnati on July 15th. And basically, he won. He came first.
Oh, so it's not like an Olympic,
not like the Olympics
gold medal,
but it's still a gold medal, right? It's gold.
Well, I've got a gold medal, Carl.
It's a medal. Well, yeah, not a toy one though. It's an actual one that he won.
I kid, of course. No, that's awesome.
Yeah. So fair play to him, but I think it's good to see him obviously doing this kind of thing as well, because if you think about it, he's obviously been through some stuff previously, and I don't think he would have ever been in the right kind of mindset to do this kind of thing before.
No, I agree. I think that's fair.
Now that he's in a better place, he's gone out doing that, and look at this wholesome picture.
Is that why you went for the wholesome one?
Yeah.
You could have picked one where he had sticks coming out of his head.
Yeah,
but you didn't, did you?
A wooden chopstick mohawk, but we did not go with that approach. But yeah, just short and sweet, but big congrats to Jon Moxley. And how cool.
Indeed. There's an interesting one for you, Carl. And I feel like the article's probably been pinned in a way of like trying to go into the whole gender politics, right?
Oh yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and try and give my opinion on the whole, 100 genders debate and all that bollocks, right? Probably shouldn't have said that either. That kind of indicates nothing. Anyway,
yeah.
So JR's been talking about pronouns on his recent episode of Grilling with JR. So for some actual detail, listen to Grilling with JR. He puts it a lot more articulate than we're going to. But I want to highlight it because I found it interesting, because it wasn't what I expected. Because I thought it was going to go into the whole gender politics.
Okay.
Oh, you can't use pronouns now because we just don't know. He's basically saying that it's kind of fucking lazy.
Yeah.
He's giving an example of like, if you're saying something like, he's going to hit him, it's like, okay, who's he and who's him?
Yeah.
Like, he's like, you should take the time and put the research in to learn who the people are and talk about them by their name for the most, sort of thing. And I'm like, actually, that's a solid fucking point. And I was kind of expecting this to be much more of a gender thing than that, but it's really not. Like, we're talking about the whole, like, it seems to be a massive topic now, doesn't it? The whole, what are your pronouns? Which is, I think for our generation, it's particularly, what's the word? unusual. Like, you know what, from an office standpoint, right? And not to digress, like this is the bit.
Don't get us cancelled.
No, this is just the thing. Like, I'm just trying to get used to this world.
Yeah.
If people want to be respected, that's totally fine with me, right? I'm just trying to get used to this world, and the best way I can explain is me trying to get used to this world is like, I've always worked in an office, right? And when I started, way back when, because I'm old now, it was like, well, certain things are like about equality and diversity, and we can ask them to volunteer that information, but we can't insist on it, right? Mm-hmm. So you go, well, here's an equality form. You don't have to fill it in. So what's your religion? What's your gender? What's this? And you go, you don't have to fill it in. It's fine, right? And now, in my current job, it's
mandatory.
Like, your email signature, you need to put your pronouns.
Yeah.
And it's like, wasn't that an equality thing? Like, do I have to put my pronouns? Like, I find that optional, kind of unusual. Like, it's now a thing of like, you know, that needs to be one of the first things you see about someone, which is interesting because, again, you go into this whole thing about, like, again, looking at an office environment, and you go, like, I don't know why I'm talking about this on a wrestling podcast, but fuck it, I'm here. You go into an office environment and you talk about, like, you know, women are not treated the same as men in an office environment. Men are usually the ones promoted. Men are usually the ones this, that, and next thing. You go, okay, we get into the whole feminist debate of, like, men versus women, and women are paid less and so on like that. So what do we do? Well, the first thing we do is make sure that when you send an email, I know whether you're a man or a woman straight away. And it's like, doesn't that feel a little bit like, okay, so like without even interacting with you, I now know how to treat you? It's like, I don't know, it just feels like they kind of smash into each other as issues, you know?
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Anyway, it's just like mad debate, yeah. But I was kind of expecting like this whole sort of gender politics on
like
this.
JR's out of touch and all this kind of thing,
and you know, there's a lot more to it than this, but I found that bit interesting that like the point essentially he's making there is like, put a little bit of effort in to your work, to your craft as a commentator, and go, well, let's learn about the people who were in this match and talk about them. So like, Carl hit Anthony, you know, then you go, don't. Yeah. And it not only is more respectful, it makes for actually better commentating. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I agree. Fucking solid point. Fair. Nice one, yeah.
I agree when I'm talking about it just to people anyway. I very rarely refer to anybody as he, him, it, her, she. But no.
It's interesting, really, because the pronouns that come up quite a lot of that, aren't they? It's like it's basically like when you talk about someone. So basically,
just stop gossiping about people.
Here's my pronouns. So when you talk about me,
behind my
how
back,
you do it. It's like that's okay.
Yeah. So the next one, short and sweet, this one, but not long after signing with Impact Wrestling, Trinity is the new Knockouts champion, defeating Deonna Purrazzo this past weekend, I would say. So yeah,
seen a post from Sandra earlier as well. Lovely.
I did. So Sandra was at. I thought she was there to support Trinity. She was at WWE for Cody, I think.
I saw the post she did about Trinity.
Oh right, no, I thought you meant when she was at the event.
Oh no, sorry, I saw she did a post specifically about Trinity, just saying how like obviously how long she's been sort of in her life and known her and how wonderful it is that she's got there. I was like, that's all, it's lovely.
I love you, Sam.
Sorry, I didn't see her at the event. Apologies.
All right, well there we go. We both saw it's stuff and we're telling you stuff about. But yeah, so Trinity won, and I think there's been a picture posted of Mercedes Moné and Tamina. Nearly forgot her name for a second, but kind of celebrating with her, which is nice to know that
is nice.
Cross companies, they're still there for each other. So congrats to Trinity.
Indeed.
And long may the success continue.
Me again, isn't it?
Like, why is the table moving?
Sorry, just a nice quick, nice quick one, really, Carl. And a surprise one. So Eric Young had been reported to be. I think somebody sort of caught the news just before it happened because he reported he was travelling somewhere. But essentially, Eric Young has rocked up at Slammiversary as a surprise. I'm trying to remember who he's partnering with. I'm not going to go into that. But basically, rocked up at Impact Slammiversary, which is a very clear sign, Carl. And it is still speculation, but I don't think Eric Young works for WWE anymore.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
So this kind of a little bit got spoiled in a way because I can't remember who it was, but somebody managed to sort of latch on to the fact that he was travelling to the same place the Slammiversary was taking place. So they go, he's probably going to be the surprise opponent. And I was like, that's a shame because that would have been a good surprise. Yeah. Because this was such a quiet thing that there was no news of release, no news of pending release or anything like that. It was just suddenly he's not there anymore.
It is a shame when stuff like that gets spoiled.
Yeah.
But yeah, like happy for him to be back there. Like
I think he's had a hell of a home at Impact.
Yeah.
I'm not particularly aggrieved by him not being with WWE.
I
I mean, I
thought
suppose that's because he hasn't really, since he went back to WWE, he hasn't really been seen that
I
much.
believe he was meant to be involved in a Bray Wyatt storyline or something. That was one of the reasons he brought him back, and obviously that didn't get off the ground, and so he was like, "Well, you're not using me, let me go."
Right.
And that was kind of why. But
that makes a bit of sense.
Hopefully,
Actually,
he's happy back in Impact, and he does some.
Okay, I think
stuff.
for me, what's helped from a fan point of view is that we haven't had him on TV really in WWE, so you don't really go, "What happened there?"
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, "Oh, cool, he's back."
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah. So the penultimate news item, Anthony, just another quick one to talk about. But Breezango are back together again. We spoke last week, was it, or maybe the week before, about Tyler Breeze making his return. We do making his return to the wrestling ring, and lo and behold, this former tag team are getting back together. So at NGW Tennessee Nightmare on October 8th, they're going to join forces as Dirty Breeze.
Nice.
I like it. Dirty Dango, Tyler Breeze, back together again. So, just a short one, but it's nice to see. Obviously, they were a good little act. I loved all the stuff they did with like the FBI files, and
this is another example of them getting something over that was given to them that was kind of ridiculous, and they made it work and ended up being quite a popular tag team. Fair play to them. So, the fact that we can go, hey, they're back together, that's awesome. Yeah, it really tells you how popular they were.
Exactly. So, yeah, anyone who is also a fan, make sure you check out that show. So it's NGW Tennessee Nightmare on October 8th. So check it out.
And the last one, Carl. Again, another fairly quick one, but I just want to address him because what a wonderful human Megan Morant is. So Megan Morant, Carl, has been reported recently that she's actually donated a kidney to her former boss's wife.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a football team she used to work for before WWE.
Okay.
Can't remember the ones. But essentially, her donating the kidney, I don't know if I don't quite know how it works. I don't know if it went directly to a former boss's wife or it just helped elevate her up the list because she's donated a kidney to someone and domino effect. But nevertheless, wonderful human decides to donate a kidney. And she's confirmed, just for anyone who's wondering, she's been on social since and said she's doing really fucking well, basically. She feels great. You know, she's sound. So I just wanted to point it out because I'm like, I said this to you. I probably shouldn't say this on air, but I'm going to say I said this to you. Like, honestly, I don't know if that's something that I would do for a former boss's wife. Like, I think the distance of it just says that that's just humanity there. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, I would definitely donate a kidney to you, Carl, if you need one. Do you know what I mean?
Thanks.
But like, to just do it, just
no,
to be.
No, so I didn't say it. I did.
Thanks, Carl.
Thanks.
But to just donate one, just to be a good human, is just such a endearing thing. It
takes a special kind of human to just be like, you know what?
Props to Megan, and I wanted it highlighting.
Hell yeah. So yeah, that was another. Is it fun filled? At least we ended on a high note. It was filled. But yeah, lots of news going on. Some happy news, some sad news, and yeah, some things we'll have to see how they all play out. But as usual, if you're watching this, thank you very much. Leave a comment, leave a like. Do whatever. What else?
Do the other things.
Yeah. Subscribe if you haven't already.
Just think about it.
Yeah. Just dream about us. If you're listening to our lovely soothing voices of liquid butter, then again, thank you to the OGs. We'll always say this. We started as a podcast. We'll always be a podcast. And then we decided to show our
even when we're on
faces.
Late night TV, replacing your favourite. I'm trying to be American. Like replacing James Corden. Probably.
Favourite? James Corden?
I just thought, well, who have they got who's British and does a late late show? James Corden, that'll do. Even when we replace James Corden, we'll still remember the days when we had a podcast.
Indeed. But yeah, so if you are listening to us, make sure you leave us a rating and check us out, download the episodes, whatever else you can do there. And yeah, let us know in the comments any thoughts on the news, and we will catch you on the next one.